Good morning, Grinders. Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka Blenderhead, Blender HD, if you want to follow me on Twitter. And it's Friday, September 16th. So you know what that means. It's Fighting Friday. We're talking about the MMA slate, UFC Fight Night coming up tomorrow afternoon, early, 4 p.m. Eastern. It's 14 fights. I love the big cards. And it's one of my it's my favorite slate in a long time in MMA. We got 14 fights, a ton of them within 2-to-1 odds of each other. And one main event 5-rounder that'll probably be a little bit overowned. So there's a lot more unique, less dupe lineups available, and a lot more underdogs that have a shot at winning. So we don't have one of these slates where, we had one a couple of weeks ago that was like 13 or 14 fights, but like 9 of the fights were like featured a 3-to-1, 4-to-1 favorite. So not many live dogs here. And in the expert survey, when it comes out for the premium members, right, you can get all the premium MMA stuff. This is the only thing, I think this is the only MMA content that is free on RotoGrinders, what I do on Fridays. But you can subscribe to RotoGrinders Premium, Combo Premium. Click on that link in the description. Get $10 off your first month. You'll get all the projections. You'll get all the expert survey, the Ground and Pound podcast we recorded last night. Liam goes through all the fights. I give my inputs. Mike Brown talks about it. We talk about the slate as a whole, almost 2 hours long. So subscribe there. You listen to that. And yeah, this is a good slot. I'm 150 maxing this one, right? A lot of times I don't. 75, 100 maybe in the main, but no, this is a 150. I'm only playing 3 single entry, 3 max lineups. A lot of times I'll play like 6, but I wanted to invest more of my money in the large field stuff because you can make a lot of combinations that are pretty good on this slate. I think there's going to be a significant amount of edge. But give me those thumbs before we talk about it. You know, I like the thumbs. Hit that thumbs up button. Helps us out. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Good morning, Wataz. Matt Mears, Grant Brown. Grant Brown says second in the play action. Duped only 12 times. What was that? Was that yesterday for the showdown? I was close. Oh! I actually had a sweat last night. I mean, it was still low percentage sweat. If Kelsey could have outscored Mahomes, I could have won $383,000 in a 3-way tie on DraftKings last night, but that didn't happen. And it's kind of weird. In the morning yesterday, we went over. I was looking through. We were going through the tools from Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports by course, right? With James McCool's tools, 10-chapter audio course plus the Excel tools, which I'll be showing off today also for MMA. Go to theoryofdfs.com. Pick it up, the advanced course. Pick it up. But in the morning, we were talking about, I'm getting a lot of Justin Watson. Why am I getting a lot of Justin Watson? I mean, because he was projected for like 1.5 points, but still, he was only 1% owned compared to other punts that were like 3% owned. That was really the only reason. It's kind of weird that he scores that big touchdown. Ends up in the optimal lineup. And I made 50 lineups yesterday. I had Watson in I think 14 out of 50 lineups. He was only 1% owned. So I made money yesterday, not much. But I did have I had a lineup duped 3 ways. I had a lineup duped 7 ways that had Watson in it. One with a Mike Williams captain, one with a Joshua Palmer captain. So I was watching the game to the end, right? A lot of times halftime, it's like, I don't know if I got any live lineup. Last night I did, but didn't come through. So whatever. Max Coach is here. Good morning. Kid Cloud Kicker. Good morning. Going over this MMA slate, and I'm going to show off some of the tools. And I'm using these tools to build my lineups. Okay, with Lineup HQ, right? You need projections. You need ownership. You need a lineup builder. You need that. So you got to subscribe to RotoGrinders. Unless you have that on your own, feel free to have that on your own. But for efficiency and accuracy, like there's a lot of stuff that Lineup HQ doesn't do from a strategic standpoint that it's more conducive to do in Excel. And Excel may not be the best way to do it. You could code this stuff in Python, but good luck with that. Do you know computer programming? No. So this is the next best option. Do it in Excel. But I'm going to put together some lineups. I'm going to show some things off. But the first thing in MMA, okay, it's got in any DFS, okay, usually if you're going to play exploitatively, which means you're basing your lineups around what the field is going to do, you need to know what the field is going to do, and not just from individual player ownership, but what those lineups look like. So my process in all sports is the first part of my process. I have maybe a 3-part process in chunks. The 3-part process is, number one, figure out what the lineups not to play are. Figure out what are the most heavily, for something like Showdown or MMA, the most heavily duped lineups. What do they have in common? And whatever they have in common, don't do. Okay? You could do the same for NFL main slate or anything. It's like, oh, okay, there's going to be a lot of lineups. If whoever has this guy in the lineup most likely has that guy in their lineup. You could determine some of this stuff just by individual player ownership, and you go, oh yeah, there are probably going to be a lot of Piper Zedong lineups, right? If you're paying all the way up 9,700 for Piper, you're more likely to have the main event underdog in it. Like, that isn't rocket science, but there may be some certain things that you go, well, too many people love Anthony Hernandez in these Sanhagen, Gravely lineups, and maybe that's not true. Maybe it's not as often as you think, right? So you want to see. I want to build the lineups that my opponents are more likely to build, and people that aren't paying attention go, I don't care about duplication. I don't mind building a lineup that's going to be duped 80 times. I want to know those lineups and what they have in common so I don't build them. My second part of the process is then using that information, building a candidate set of lineups. So way more than I possibly would need. Okay, so if I'm building 150 for tomorrow, I may build 1,500 to 3,000 lineups, right? Something like that. Even if I'm doing single entry or 3-max, I may build 100 to 300 lineups, and then weed it out from there. So that's the second part. Find your candidate lineups, and then the third part would be trimming and deciding on which lineups had the highest EV, or within your risk tolerance, that you're managing, like the expected value of the lineup versus like the variance of the lineup. Because I can understand that you may not want to play 150 like plus EV lineups that are just very high variance, that have like Alan Amidovsky and Trey Ogden in it, which they may be individually plus EV, but those lineups, it's like, do I want to risk my entire slate on like a 5% owned dog that has like a 16% chance of winning, right? You don't have to. You can if you don't mind the humongous swings, but that's what you'd be trimming. So those are the 3 chunks. That's the 3 chunks of the process. So the first chunk I'm going to do right now. So I loaded in my ownership, my current ownership. It may change by tomorrow, and I just loaded in the median projections on RotoGrinders. And let me just tell you, for MMA, median projection doesn't really mean anything. Okay. They'll give you a sense of who's the slightly better from a distributional sense. But remember, these distributions aren't normal, right? These are bimodal distributions. So like these guys don't hit these scores, right? It's very hard for Maria Agapova to get 50 points. She's going to score 30 or she's going to score 90. It's not rarely going to be 50. So like the differences between 1 or 2 points, a couple of points in this median range, where it's a very bimodal distribution, doesn't mean that much. It doesn't mean that much, but people will still build based on these, right? They'll still build these types of lineups. So I'm going to build 300 lineups. What I did here is I set the build rules to spend at least 49.8, right? I'm trying to build lineups that my opponents are, okay? Understand, I'm not building lineups for me now. I'm just trying to, what are the most duplicated lineups? That's what I'm looking to get, okay? So using the median projections, using just one unique, I don't mind getting a ton of whatever, right? What do those lineups look like? Okay, so I'm gonna press build. It's gonna go, and then we're gonna bring it into the tool. If you got any questions, feel free to post it in the YouTube chat. I've been pretty nice this week on the stupid questions, so even if you got stupid ones, feel free to post them in the YouTube chat and give me those thumbs, the thummy thumbs and the thumbs and the whatever you want to call it, right? So I'm just building these lineups. Now, what I'll do is also I'm going to download the projections from here. Right, you could just click on this little button over here, right next to here, the upload aggregate. You could download the projections, right? So I'm gonna go over. Let's wait for this to be done, just so I could show you everything in more streamlined fashion. So I downloaded the projections. All I really need is just the salaries and the fighters and the fantasy points and the ownership and everything, because I'm going to put that into Excel. So when you get these 300 lineups, let's make sure that they're right. You get a lot of Yadong, right? You get a lot of this. Okay, maybe to be a little bit more representative, I should make the ownership a little bit yeah. Let me smooth out the ownership a little bit, because there's no way that we're only getting 12% Sanhagen. We're only getting that because there's so much Yadong in there. So let's start capping these. So let's just let's go like 20% higher than their projected ownership. So something like this. Let's see, 38 maybe, just to get a little bit more representative sample. So that seems fine, right? Julian Robinson, Cheedy, but Cheedy at like 34, Feely at 24, just a little bit higher than their actual projected ownership, right? 26, maybe that's at 22. Because then it'll show that, Sanhagen isn't in many lineups. It's like he's going to be in a lot of lineups. Let's see, Aspen Ladd, we'll put her at 24, put Denise Gomez at 18, or just put it at 20. Put Sabatini 32, Trevin Giles 32. Just these are maxes. Damon Jackson 20, Moda 28, Poser 28, Van Camp 20, Gravely 28, Sanhagen. All right, we may have to even bump up because he's going to be owned. So let's just 30, 42. Rodriguez is going to be owned also, so let's make sure to get at least 20, 34. That seems fine. McMahon will cap at 14, or let's see, 18. Right, I'm just going through. Just I want a little bit more representative sample. Right, Marco Andre Barrio is going to be owned. Let's just put him in. Put it in to 28. But you still want to get the guys that don't even show up that much. I mean, they're going to be owned at least something, right? So at least 4. Agapova is going to be at least 10. 10. Even Luke Moomy is going to have ownership, so let's put her in at 6. Just to get a little bit more representative sample size. Put Gravely, make sure we get. We'll even put some minimums here, just to make sure. Just to make sure we get enough. Okay, the guys at the top, you don't necessarily have to put minimums because they're coming in a lot as it is. Just so we don't have to necessarily run this again. 20, Denise Gomez, 10. Just at least 10 there. Okay, got Cheedy in here. Well, Cheedy's going to be owned. 24, 24, 4, 30, 30. Okay, now let's run it again. Okay, we're going to run that again. Let's see if there's any questions in the chat. Kid Cow Clicker, my mother said there's no such thing as a stupid question. Well, maybe your mom's stupid. Maybe that's why I'm stupid. People say that. If I get bitten by a monkey, what kind of drug will they give me? I don't know. That isn't even a DFS question. I have no idea. Ronald Coley says it's not that my questions are stupid. At least I don't think. Maybe they're just basic and have been covered before. I don't mind basic questions. That I've covered things. I've repeated myself 800 times before. To me, stupid questions are like, it's a stupid question. Like this is the rule. Like you can know this for sure. You have the 2 variables of what it makes a stupid question in DFS are: can it be answered by a yes or a no? Okay, so put together your question and you go, are you looking for a yes or no answer? Then it's a stupid question. Or can it be answered by an exact number? How many of X should I X? Right? That's a stupid question. There's no exact number. Or would you play this or that? Like there's no defined answer like that. right? Those are stupid questions. So that means you're not thinking about DFS properly. So you're not even in the mindset. You haven't taken the first course, Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports, the 15-hour long fundamentals masterclass. You should not be thinking in black and white like that. Okay, here we go. Let's see. We built all these lineups. Okay, we get Mma Dfs. Oh yeah, we finally get some Mma Dfs there. Ogden, Agapova. We got Barrio. We got a bunch of. We got all these. We got plenty. Okay, we got 38% Sandhagen. Okay, we're good. Still got a ton of Yadong. Okay. This is a little bit more representative of what lineups we're gonna see, at least. Okay. So now I download and I have all of these. I can export these using this button right here, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to switch over to the tools I have on my other screen. Entire screen. I'm going to share the entire screen. It'll be a little small. There, you can see it there, right? Okay, this is the duplication predictor. So I'm going to take the projections, right? And I could paste that in right here. Right, so you can see here, I downloaded the projections from Lineup HQ. You can see in this little document here. And I can just copy, right, all these columns to projected ownership, right? And then I need the salary as well, right? So I cut and paste, copy. You see, this isn't hard. And I could just paste it in right over here. And I'm also going to need the salary. I don't need anything else, right? So I'm going to cut and paste column K to where the salary is. Paste there, okay. So this gives us the projection, the ownership, the salary, and the fighters, and everything like that. Okay? So that's the projections that are in there. Now I have another tab in the sheet to put in the lineups. So I'm going to download the lineups using the export button, Lineup HQ. Save that. Open it up, right? And you can see here all the lineups, right? Copy. Just copy all the columns. There, here, copy. Plug them in right here. Paste. Done. Okay. It's not that hard, right? You get these are the Excel tools that we have available at theoryofdfs.com that I'm using. I did this to build my showdown lineups yesterday. Okay. I'm not showing you something. Oh, you could do it this way, but I do it differently. No, I do it this way. I may have different numbers, right? I may change the ownership. I may have my proprietary rating, the MMA ratings for the projections, right? I may have a different risk tolerance. I may not mind having a lot of this, and you may not want a lot of that. So, like, it's not like we're going to come up with the same exact lineups anyway. Okay, so I'm going to load the lineups into the duplication predictor. Now, these lineups should be duplicated a lot, right? These are the most. I mean, we're using median projections. I mean, to take a look at some of this stuff, and also this doesn't stack fights. I mean, we already put it in that you have to play. You can't play more than one fighter from the same fight. Right, so I'm going to load this up. Okay, so we can see here, just on this column with the dupes, like they're heavily duped, right? We could say, well, what's the most dupe lineup? Projected, right? Because these lineups all spend at least 49.8, right? So I go by descending. So 134, Gravely, Chidi, Song, Sabatini, Hernandez, Pfeiffer, 134. Which is a ballpark figure. This isn't like, and this is for too big of a contest. Okay, we have to lower, because we have a field here called the field size. So this is for the showdown yesterday for NFL, 196,000 entries. So let's see what the MMA, the large field contest, it's probably, I think, 35,000, something like that. I'm going to go right into my app and see. Because obviously the dupes are going to go down. 29,411. Okay. So you go here, you type 29,411, right? And then you could just reload the lineups. And now these numbers start to go down. Okay. So these are the most maybe heavily duped lineups. Well, some of them aren't, right? This one has Mma Dfs down here, Rodriguez, Bozer, Philly, Sabatini, Giles. Yeah, this lineup isn't going to be duped that much. Maybe we should start cutting out some of the fighters instead of trying to get an even more representative sample size. Maybe we just try to jam in what's more people are going to do. Okay, so let's clear this. Let's see if we can get a little bit more. Instead of a representative sample of 300, let's just get the most used lineups. So, like, I mean, so basically we're just gonna almost increase. I'm going into lineup HQ, and I'm gonna just basically force in like the highest owned people at like a little bit past their ownership. So Fluffy Hernandez, let me get at least 40% of him. Let me get 40% Sanhagen. Right? Everyone else, I don't mind that much. Like, let me get at least, let's see, Cheaty. Cheaty's going to be owned. 30 for him. Jillian Robinson. Maybe Zellhuber. Get at least 28 of him. Get at least 24 of Gravely. 28 of him. 26. Go through. I'm going to start knocking down some of these people. I'm in lineup HQ right now. I want at least 26 of Rodriguez. Poser, I don't mind. Towards the bottom, it's not going to be as. Is there a quicker way to do this? Can I do it? Nah, okay, there is a quicker way to do this. So I said because I said everything like so limited. It's like the fact that we have any duplicate like unique lineups in this build. I don't want that. I want the most duplicated lineup. Okay, so people are going to play Marc-Andre Barrio, and then everything at the bottom. Like, I don't need any Mma Dfs. Like literally, I don't want any Mma Dfs lineups. I don't want any Luke Boomy lineups. Like, those aren't going to be as duplicated. So I just want a lot of the more owned fighters. Asherat. I want all of this. Okay, and then let's see what comes up. Make sure you get a bunch. Okay, I'm going to build 300 now. I'm going to force that in. Like I said, if you got any questions in the YouTube chat, feel free to post them. Johnny Ortiz says his course is what completely changed the way I play for the better. And it really is beyond worth it. Same with the new course. Thank you, Jordan and James. Well, thank you. Thank you for buying it. And stay out of my contests. Yeah, that's the only thing. Don't stay out of my contests. That's what I joke at the end of the course. Like, hopefully, I've taught you everything I know. I've given you 100% of everything. I don't know what else I could tell you. I've been profitable. I've been playing for 7 years profitably. And you should be able to also. Just hopefully you're not in my contests. That's it. Okay, we got the 300. And okay, we're getting a lot of Denise Gomez. Let's see. A lot of Denise Gomez in some of these lineups. Amadovsky, Moda, anyone that's not that. Let's see. Maybe I'm going to run it again. Maybe I just want to make sure I'm getting enough. Yeah, let's get more Gravely. Yeah. I gotta push it a little. That's okay, because I capped Sabatini, Sanhagen, Fluffy, Song, Pfeiffer. 50 to 60. So now I gotta cap these, or I'm gonna get way too much. 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 30 to 40. Get some Zellhuber in there. $40, 30 to 40 on Sabatini, 20 to 30 on Giles. Okay, let's see if this. Let's run another 300. It doesn't take that long to run. I mean, this will take, what, maybe 20 seconds. Ked Cloud Kicker says, I just start with the projections. right? The kid clearly says, agreed. For better or worse, I always played for entertainment value. It was fun. I've won 6 figures over the last 2 years, but the entertainment value is far less. I just start with the projections. I don't even look at the player's name. It's mostly mathematical. That's a lot less fun. You know what's fun? Making money. That's what it is to me. The intellectual challenge of putting the puzzle together and then getting rewarded over time, long term, for doing so. Some people don't find that fun. Then fine, play for entertainment value. I have no problem with that. Those are the people that you make money from. That's fine. You have to define what you're playing for. If you're playing for fun, then don't worry about any of this. Just bash your head against the keyboard. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not offended. Okay, finally. Okay, now we get a little bit more. Yeah, okay. These lineups are. Yeah, okay. Denise Gomez. We're still getting plenty of her. Okay, so I'm going to export these lineups and put them in. And let's see what these dupe rates are for these lineups, which should be high. Okay. So I'm going to plug them in right here. There we go. All right, load the lineups in. Okay. Not awful. Right? You're gonna find much less dupe lineups because there's 14 fights on the slate. So at 29,411, yeah, we got that over here. We go by the top dupe lineup, 21. Here's a 50K lineup at 191 ownership sum. Gravely, Cheaty, Song, Sabatini, Fluffy, Pfeiffer. Yeah, that lineup will be yes. Yes. Now we've hit it. We've hit pay dirt. A lineup that definitely will be duped a bunch. I could tell just right here. I mean, it's not a Sanhagen lineup. Let's see. Can we find a Sanhagen lineup? Because if you're going to fit in Joe Pfeiffer at 9,700, you're more likely to be playing Song Yadong and not Sanhagen. Although there will be Pfeiffer Sanhagen lineups. I mean, I could go here and I could just lock 2 guys in, like Sanhagen, Pfeiffer. Like, what does that lineup look like? Well, it wouldn't have Yadong in it. It probably has Denise Gomez in it, in that type of lineup. So that's why Gomez is coming up a lot, because it can't use Song Yadong. So here we go. Here's like the most like duplicated types of lineups. Okay. What we could do now, instead of going through and go, what do these things have in common? There's another tool. Okay. I'm going to go here. I'm going to cut and paste the same exact lineups. Copy. Oh, no, I think I have to clear this out first. I'm going to go to the portfolio correlation matrix. This one is from yesterday's showdown slate. So I can just clear the lineups here. Switch the show format to regular, because even though it's MMA, there's no captain or anything. And I'm going to cut and paste the lineups. No, that's the wrong one. The lineups from here, these duped lineups. Copy. And go into the correlation and copy them here. And let's see what they have in common. Right? So this will show you the correlations of players within a portfolio, within lineup. And this may take a minute or two. I'm going to just load that in. And I'll give you a matrix, and I'll give you what does that portfolio look like from a diversification standpoint? Because we're trying to figure out, this is stage 1, the first chunk. We're trying to figure out what not to do, what combinations that are less likely, that are more likely to be duped. And we typically don't want to play them. The easy way to do this, for the most part, is just like the highest owned players, right? Like Pfeiffer, Yadong, Sanhagen, Fluffy, Cheaty. But it may not be as correlated as you think they are, right? So you can't just blindly go in, I'm going to max 1 on that. Maybe not necessarily. Okay, so now here we go. Here we get the correlation matrix. So this shows an R value of every fighter to every other fighter in this 300 set. Okay, now going through this entire chart and seeing the exact R values is a pain in the ass, right? So we give you a list in this tool. This is one of the tools in the theory of daily fantasy sports. So like here you go, Yadong Pfeiffer, very high. Pfeiffer Yadong, right? Yadong Anthony Hernandez, Yadong Basharat, Yadong Zellhuber. Yeah, I mean, this all makes sense. The low-priced underdog in the 5-round fight is going to be heavily correlated to the non-Sanhagen, more owned high-priced fighters like Pfeiffer and Hernandez and Zellhuber, right? So we look down through here, And we can see here just in the variance factor, just over here, Yadong, Pfeiffer, Hernandez, Baccarat, Zellhuber. Sandhagen is actually not as sticky to other fighters. Like maybe let's see. We could take a look, sort. You could also sort. Let's look at Sandhagen. Just the Sandhagen lineups. Denise Gomez and Joe Pfeiffer. So if you just sort by Sandhagen, you go, what fighters are more correlated in other people's lineups, right? Because we're using like median projections. So maybe you make a group and go Sandhagen, Gomez, don't play. If you're building a single entry 3-max lineup, don't play that. Maybe Sandhagen, Pfeiffer, because this is 0.71 R value. So maybe you don't play a Sandhagen, Pfeiffer lineup, right? So you can do this for each fighter based on this sample of like heavily duped lineups. We could go to Song Yadong, let's say, the main event underdog. Very correlated to Joe Pfeiffer. And then you have, in the middle, you have Hernandez, Baccarat, and Zellhuber. And then it kind of gets mid-range. But, like, not much to, like, Tanner Bozer. Not much to, like, Nicholas Mota. Because they're the lower owned, high-priced fighters. So you can see here and go, okay, I don't mind. But we can see here, even with Chidi is 0.34, which is decently high, but maybe not. Maybe you don't need to group out Chidi and Song Yadong. You could still get different enough. Let's take a look at Joe Pfeiffer. Joe Pfeiffer, if you take a look here, I know it's very small on the screen. Very much to Song. Very much. Like that would be a Pfeiffer Song Yadong. You could cut out like that easily. That'll reduce your dupes a lot. Then you kind of get Hernandez, Baccarat, I guess. And then it kind of goes down from there. Still a lot of Denise Gomez in here, no matter what. Then we go to let's go to a mid-range. Let's go to Chidi. Right? Because of the line value. Right, Baccarat, I mean, other than Song and Pfeiffer, not really correlated with, not strongly enough to like really just group out someone. It's a 14-fight card, so that makes sense. But you could use this tool just to, this is a tool for you to look at your own diversification, but also to build a sample lineup set of what you think your opponents will do. Maybe you build not just 300 lineups. Maybe you try to build 1,500 duplicated lineups. I want to try to build the highest dupe lineups possible and just keep on building them and just exporting the 300, 300, 300, 300, put it into this tool, and then see what R values one fighter are to the other and go, okay, now I know what groups to make if you're going to make groups. So you could use that tool for this. Now, what I do is I have my own model. I'm going to switch back. I'm going to share my browser now. Let's see. Where is my browser? There it is. Okay. I have my own, as you all know, my little Excel spreadsheet, which already it weighs stuff and it already takes into account the ownership. And then it gives me this like rating that it's basically a leverage rating. So the higher the rating, it's more leverage versus the probability of scoring 100 plus points. Okay. So the higher the rating of a full lineup, the highest leverage lineup you could make based on the ownership. So I put that in already into here, right? I'm going to clear some of this out, right? Go through. Just tab, delete, right? You can clear this. You could clear. Oh, I could probably clear this. There's probably a clear out exploit. Yeah, clear all exploders. Okay. For someone that knows a lot about lineup HQ, I forgot that there was a bulk action to do that. I'm just going through. Okay. So I could switch these median projections to my custom projections. So it gives me this rating right here that's currently in my sheet based on the RG projections and ownership and my kind of adjustment. And a little bit of a ceiling projection there. Obviously, I'm going to have multiple sources in here. So this is definitely not final, but it's close enough. Let's see. Go through the YouTube chat before I do this. Or let me build lineups and I'll look through then. Okay, so now that I have that in, Like, what are the highest leverage lineups? What do they look like? And how are they different from the duplicated lineups? So if I wanted, and I didn't care about any type of diversification, right? Just one unique player. And I don't care about the salary. I just want to build based on my metric, comparing the betting lines, the projection, and the ownership together. What are the highest leverage lineups? They may be the highest variance lineups, but what are the highest leverage lineups? So I'm just going to build 300 and let's see. Anthony Bowold, always love your content, Jordan. Much appreciated. Well, thank you. Greg R asks, is there a limit to the number of lineups in the Excel tools? That the limit is until Excel breaks. Understand the limits of Excel. I've in some, depending on how diverse your portfolio is, I've gotten the portfolio correlation matrix to work with up to 3,000 lineups. But if it's a more diverse set, it may break. It may give you an like, damn, I tried. Sorry. There's a limit to what you could do in Excel. Like the portfolio trimmer, I've put in 3,000 lineups with no problem. You don't have to worry about it having to compare like 300 different players to each other. So the portfolio trimmer, yeah, I don't even know what the hell the limit could be. 10,000. I think James may have did 15,000 or something. Of course, the more that you put in, the slower it'll be. Right? So if you're trying to trim like a whole ton of 15,000 lineups, you press the button to trim, it may take 30 or 40 seconds, as opposed to trimming 100 lineups, which will take a second or two. So really, it comes down to that. It comes down to the extent in which, Excel could handle. But it's well within reason that, like, it's not like, it can only handle 150 lineups. No, it can handle thousands. So if you're like, oh, well, it didn't work with 30,000 lineups, I'm like, I'm sorry. It doesn't. Maybe there's some limit on where that happens. James is fooling around with Python building 2 million lineups. That ain't gonna work, right? It's not gonna. Excel isn't built for that. Just cutting and pasting 2 million lines into Excel may take a minute. Then you're gonna have it trim and do any type of correlations. No, your computer will explode. Excel will say, "I'm sorry, but come on. What do you expect from me?" Okay. See, we can see right here. Look, 87% Luke Boomy. Van Camp, Pfeiffer, Ogden, Agapova. I mean, these are like the high. If you want to play high-risk lineups, like no one's playing these lineups. Look, Boomy, Pfeiffer, Basharat, Robinson, Van Camp, Ogden. In that rating, this is the highest level. This is technically the highest EV lineup that you could make. It'll be solo. It'll hit. But how often does this fucking work? I have no idea. It even has Pfeiffer in it, right? So do you really want to play 87% of Loma Luke Boomy? No. Probably not. So from a diversification standpoint, like, it's not telling you to play 87% of her. It's just that she contributes to the most amount of highest leverage lineups, right? Because she's a $9,500 fighter that's going to be 9% owned. Her ceiling is suspect. Can she put up 100 plus points? That's debatable. But when she does, I mean, that's going to be if she outscores Pfeiffer, outscores Sandhagen and Zellhuber up there, then she's a top 6 scoring player. She'll be in the winning lineup at 9% owned. Same thing for Ogden on the bottom at 7%, 50%. Right? So you're probably not playing like I don't start from here. I set some diversification limits. Right? So most of these lineups are going to be unique. Like if we let's see, I'm gonna do this now. I'm gonna bring this in to the duplication predictor. Right? Clear these lineups. I'm gonna switch over. Share screen. Go to screen 3. And I'm gonna export these. I'm going to assume that I'm gonna have a lot of unique lineups out of this set. Okay, so I'm gonna cut and paste these. A, B, C, D, E, F. Paste them in right here. Paste. Load lineups. Right, look at the dupes. You get a lot of zeros. I mean, the most one is what, 3? And I don't mind under 5. Right, look. It even shows on the side here. Unique 249, under 5, 299. Like, there's one lineup that's not under 5. What the hell does that lineup look like? Descending. So 5. Right. And some of these spend 50,000. I mean, like some of these spend 49.9. I mean, you could still get Feely, Ogden, Van Camp, Hernandez, Pfeiffer, Luke Boomey. Right. There you go. Duplication, probably 0. Probably unique. Barrio, Van Camp, Robertson, Basharat, Bozer, Pfeiffer. So this one is 5. Now, I aim for under 5s, but you can see here that if you want to play a lot of Loma, Luke Boomey, you can make plenty of unique lineups. And you can make unique lineups that are still at like 49.9. You don't have to even leave much salary on the table. You don't have to leave any salary. I mean, if we could sort this by salary even, right? So you can see, look, there are 50K lineups here that are only projected to be dupe 1. I mean, or would be an under 5. Right? So if you're like going, oh, I can't spend more than 49.5 on this slate, why not? You can still make lineups. Right? I mean, a lineup like this, 104 over here. I mean, Nascimento, Van Camp, Agapova, Giles, Zellhuber, Luke Boomey. Very contrarian lineup, yes, but it spends 50,000. You're probably not going to dupe with anyone. If anything, maybe you're duping with one person, maybe. Right? Just that combination, like no one's playing that. Here's 97 ownership sum right here. Amadowski, right? Once you play Amadowski, you're good, right? Amadowski, Philly, Agapova, Basharat, Zellhuber, Luke Boomey, right? If you're playing an Amadowski, Luke Boomey lineup, like you just play whoever you want in the last 4 spots. It doesn't matter. 50K, it doesn't matter. So there are lineups that spend. I mean, look, here's the 49.9 lineups that come up at 0. Right? But of course, these are all Luke Boomey lineups. I mean, if you want to play 87% Luke Boomey, yeah, you can make plenty of unique lineups. But let's say you don't want to do that. Okay? So this is the second stage. Remember, we're just trying to build candidate lineups. Okay? This set of candidate lineups is I don't want to have to choose between. I may only want to play 15 to 20 Luke Boomey lineups, maybe, out of 150 or something like that. So I want to get a representative sample of diversification-wise, what I don't mind. I don't want to have to select between half my lineups being Trey Ogden, right? But I'm still getting a sense of what players contribute to the highest leverage lineups. And that's Loma, that's Van Camp, that's Ogden, that's Agapova, that's Bozer, Koski, Kosei. Is that how you pronounce it? Kosei? Louis Kosei? And Pfeiffer is still there. So Pfeiffer over the main event, over Sanhagen. So now I'm going to go back into lineup HQ. Okay. And I'm just gonna set some caps. I'll switch back. Hold on. Just so you can see. And then I'm gonna set some just diversification caps. It has nothing to do with I want to be this amount over the field or less of the field. It has nothing to do with that. Just how much Loma am I willing to take on this slate? Maybe 16%. This is purely risk tolerance. I'm not choosing that number because it's like, well, it's over the field by this or whatever. Yeah, I probably want to play more than her because she does contribute to high leverage lineups. But also, I could find unique lineups without her in it also, right? So how much exposure do I want from a risk percentage on the slate? Like Van Camp, do I want 77%? Maybe 20 max, right? Pfeiffer. Maybe do I want more than 40? Do I want more than 50 or something like that? 50% Pfeiffer. Ogden? How much Ogden do I really want? 12? I may be fine. How much Agapova do I want? Maybe 20? I'm going to have a lot of Robertson, right? 18 or something like that? They're at 20. This is purely for risk tolerance. If you say, I don't mind having a ton of Agapova, then put her up at 40. That's fine. Basharat? I don't mind being around the field, right? Bozer, I'll have more Bozer. I don't mind. Bozer Nascimento, it's a heavyweight fight. I don't mind that. I'll put him at 34. I'm just coming up with numbers. Kosei, yeah, 20% of him. Zellhuber, I don't mind him around 28. Nascimento, I don't mind a bunch of. Trevin Giles, maybe I could have Around the same. See, Mma Dfs. How much Mma Dfs do I really want? 6? 6? Is 6 good, maybe? 6? 6? 8? Maybe 8? I don't know. 6. Let's go down to 6. Aspen Ladd. I don't mind being under on last Aspen Ladd. Jillian Robinson. I could have 40% of her. Actually, I'm gonna make sure I have a whole bunch of her. 30 to 40. Gregory Rodriguez. And now we're getting the ones that you're not getting that much of at all. And this is one unique. Obviously, you could be a little bit more diverse by doing unique players too. And maybe we'll just sit it like that. Okay, unique players too. So I'm going through. Right. So once you get to the bottom, now I kind of have to kind of force. I want at least 10% of Gravely, 10%, 10%. That's pretty good. Sarah McMahon, 8%. Algeo, 10. Sanhagen, I still want some, but not much. I'm not gonna have much Sanhagen, so I'm gonna I'll put him at and I don't know, 14. That fine. Still wants Cheaty. I'll be under on Cheaty. Still want 20% Yadong because I'm going to be under on the main event. Sabatini, 14. I don't mind being under on him. I don't mind being under on Marc-Andre Barrios versus Fluffy Hernandez. Give me 20% of him. Feely, I don't like a lot of, but give me 10% of him. Rodriguez, 20% of him. And there, that should be fine. So let's see if we could find 300 candidate lineups. You could do like multiple 300 builds and put them into the duplication predictor. So it's like I'm trying to make 300 at once, but you can make 300, 600. You can make one build like this and one build like that and then just take 10 different builds and throw them all into Excel. I'm more likely to do that, but for the sake of the show and for speed, I'm just trying to kind of build candidate lineups in the 300 set. Grant Brown asks, how are you taking things that aren't okay, 1.xn? Okay, I don't understand what this is. And adjusting to the rating, just as projection. I'm using a relatively to the average, but seems flawed. I'm not sure what you're asking. I'm trying to normalize all of the things in the sheet to around 1. Right? So I'm weighting it, and I'm using a constant. So I could get those things to be as equal as possible based on what I want to weight them by. So obviously the win leverage on Luke Boomy is going to be really high because she's a heavy favorite and barely owned, right? But a round 1 leverage is very high also because 13% round 1 probability at 9% ownership is pretty damn good. But it shouldn't be like that dramatically different than some of these other people here. Right? Sanhagen's goes down, but I'm getting his median projection is boosting his rating up. Even though his round 1, he's probably one of the lowest chances of scoring finish in the round 1. It's a 5-round fight. He's more likely to win the 5 rounds or finish at some point in the fight. But I don't know. Maybe that's more for another Zoom call that I do as part of RotoGrinders Premium. So you better sign up for that if you don't. Hingo A says, so many lineups. Which one's the winner? You don't know. I don't know which one the winner is. All I know is that I want to build lineups that have a higher probability of winning than what they'll be played. That's called expected value, high expected value lineups. So imagine getting 2 to 1 on a coin flip, right? It's a 50% chance, but you're getting paid like it's like 66, 2 to 1. So it doesn't matter if it comes up heads or tails. It's just as long as you keep on flipping, over the long run, you're going to make money, right? 6-sided die roll. If you got paid 20 to 1, I'm guessing the side of the die that comes up. Well, which one's the winner? Is it going to be 3? Is it going to be 5? What does it matter? You're getting paid 20 to 1 on a 6 to 1 shot. Pick any number you want. At that point, don't expect the dice. Just be glad that someone's willing to give you that payout on a 6 to 1 probability. That's essentially what DFS is. So I'm trying to find lineups, right, that have high expected value, and then depending on my risk tolerance on how much of a do I want to risk on certain fighters over others, Build lineups that, especially in MMA, where you only have, 28 fighters to choose from on this slate, you want to avoid duplicates. I want to win $100,000, right? I think it's $100,000 tomorrow. 150, I don't know, whatever. I want to win $100,000 solo. If not, at least split it 2 ways rather than get a lineup that splits it 28 ways. You're paying the same amount for a lower payout. So you want to avoid those, even though there's more of a probability that a high-owned lineup wins, but you're going to win 10 times, 20 times less when that does win. So you don't want those lineups. That's like taking a 6-sided die roll and getting paid 4 to 1. Like, why would you want to do that? You're going to lose money in the long run doing that. Grant Brown says taking the larger numbers that aren't close to a decimal. I'm using a constant to divide and to multiply. Like, I get those numbers down. Right? I wanted my rating in a perfect world. I want the most efficient fighter on the slate to be rated 1. Right? And the more inefficient they're owned, it's 1.05, 1.10. The less efficient they're owned, it goes under. I'm aiming for that. And obviously, a lot of the dogs are going to be rated much lower because their chances of 100-plus points go down even more dramatically as they're more and more of an underdog. But obviously, because of the $50K salary, you still have to own underdogs. So their ratings are naturally going to be lower. And going to be more variant dependent on the ownership. Like, you take a look at here, like, when you're dealing with, like, Trey Ogden at 7%, and he comes up with 0.89, which is better than, like, Chidi and Jaquani. He doesn't have a better chance than Chidi to get 100-plus points, but he's only 7% owned. But let's say I change his ownership to 9%. It starts going down dramatically. If he ends up 13% owned, he's horrible. Right? So your margin of error on the ownership for some of these guys that have very small ownerships is very is it's gonna be hold on, 8. Like Mma Dfs, there's a big difference between 4% and 6%. Yet at the top, there's really not that much of a difference between 42 and 44%. So you really have to nail the single-digit ownership well enough, or you're going to start getting way too much of some of those. That's why I got a lot of Van Camp or whatever. So either you have to make sure the ownership is really on point, or just like do what I did and just say, like, I don't care what the ownership is because there's so much fragility there. I don't want my whole slate to be determined by look, I'm getting 12% Trey Ogden. Right. He's fitting in the right lineups. He's providing leverage to the right lineups, but only in 12% of my portfolio, or at least of these candidate lineups. Okay. So here's that set of candidate lineups. So now I'm going to take this out. Right. So you can just export. You can see this is not complicated to do. This export button, you click the export button and you get the lineups. Then you could open them up. And I'm going to switch over to my Excel document, my Excel tools. Right? So you can see here, I got my lineups from Lineup HQ. I'm going to put these in, copy, paste, and I'm going to load them into the dupe predictor. Right? And we see here, based on my rating, yeah, there's some that are they're over. Right? Because you're gonna still get clumps to some extent using an optimizer. But like here is the most dupe lineup in this set. Yadong, Algeo, Rodriguez, Fluffy, Robertson, Pfeiffer. Right? Predicted dupes 18. Right? But in this 300 set, I got 300 under 20s, 284 under 10s, 234 under 5s, and 87 uniques. So if I wanted to, right now, I could trim. I could say I don't want anything on. I want all the under 5s. Right? So I take this candidate set, and what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go into the portfolio trimmer. There's another tool. I'm going to clear the projections out from in here. I'm going to put it in the projections. The the projections with my rating in it. So instead of a median projection, it's going to be my rating and my ownership, right? So I got that out. I got that out of lineup HQ. You can see it right here. It's not complicated. Cut and paste A through G. Put that in here. Then I also need the salary. Copy. Put in the salary. Paste. Okay. And now I can put in those lineups from the duplication predictor and get rid of the ones. Right? So I'm going to go into the duplication predictor. And you see all the lineups at the bottom? Like I want the under 5s. So here's the 4 right here. And just cut and just grab all the ones that are like that. So I'm already getting rid of like the more duplicated ones in my candidate set of 300. Maybe there's 1,500 lineups in here, right? Like I said, you don't have to just end at 300. And maybe you don't mind. Like maybe you need all uniques. You just want, I don't care. I don't care if I get a ton of Boomy and Van Camp and Ogden. I just want all the uniques as possible. You could do that as well. Me, I aim for under 5s. I judge my play more by if I build 150 lineups and I have 150 under 5s, I don't care if the uniques are like 10. It's going to be higher than that, but I mean, to me, I judge it by under 5s. Sometimes I could build unique lineups by playing the 6 biggest underdogs on the slate. I mean, that'll be unique. You leave 8,000 on the table, but the likelihood of that winning is very extremely low. That you might as well play. I'd rather play a lineup that's duped once that is higher probability than that. Okay, so I'm going to take all these lineups, and I can go into the portfolio trimmer. Right, this is not deep. This is regular. I'm going to paste that in right here. Doesn't matter what the positions are. Paste. Right. And I'm going to load into Portfolio Manager. Right. So you can see here. Here's my rating. Right. This will show you the price of the lineup, the floor, and the ceiling. Of course, I didn't put in any floor and ceiling projections. I just put in my rating. So you see this projection down here? That's my rating score. It could be the median projection. I mean, you could use this for any sport. Right. And then you could trim by any threshold you want. I could trim by ownership sum. I could trim by price. I can get rid of 50K lineups, right? But these are all supposed to be like under 5s. I could sort by, specific players in the lineup. I mean, I could do that as well. So let's say I mean, there are 50K lineups that, like Ogden, Van Camp, Robertson, Basharat, Pfeiffer, Luke Boomy. I don't care that that's 50K. That's it. That's a unique lineup. So I'm like, I'm not going to get rid of the 50K lineups. But maybe I'll look at the bottom. What are some of these low-rated lineups? Yadong, Gravely, McMahon, Sabatini, Fluffy, Jillian Robinson. You could still play these. I mean, there's a lot of lineups to choose from. But you could use this threshold maybe by ownership sum. Right? You want to get rid of the ownership sum. Even though there are some high ones that you could still play. 164, I'm looking down over here. Some of these you could play. I mean, dude, on this slate, that's why I love this slate. There's so many under 5s that you could play, so many dupes that you don't even need to leave a ton of money on the table. There are going to be people out there that are going to set and go like they do every slate. 48,000, right? They're going to play lineups 47,000 and 48.5, which on this slate with all these underdogs on these close fights, that can still win. But there are a lot of lineups that are 49.5, 49 to 50K that are still perfectly fine. But then you could trim right here. I could trim by smart trim, but that smart trim is not necessarily useful for when I'm using my own rating as a projection because the rating already factors in the ownership. But if I wanted to, let's see what would happen if I smart trim this down. If it goes rating to the ownership sum, which is redundant, it makes no sense to do it this way. But I'm just curious. Okay, so that gets it down. If I go just based on ownership sum and the rating, the top lineup is Ogden, Van Camp, Robertson, Basharat, Pfeiffer, Luke Boomy. Yeah, you're going to get all the Luke Boomy lineup. What else is new? And you get an Mma Dfs lineup, and you get a Trey Ogden lineup, and a Cameron Van Camp. Of course. Yeah, I should have expected that. But then you could use this tool. Like I didn't want to do that. Oh, well, I could reload the entire portfolio, right? So you can see here, look, I got all my lineups back because everything's always saved in your insert lineups page right here. So you can fool around with this all you want and trim down. You can trim down, hey, I'm only playing 3 lineups. And now here's my 300 candidate, here's my whatever, 234 candidate lineups. And go through and you go, okay, who do I not want to play? You look for the Mma Dfs lineups and you get rid of them. You look for these lineups and get rid of it. And you keep on going until you find, oh, okay, I like this lineup. Single entry, done. Right? So those are the 3 stages. 1, figure out what your opponents are going to play. Right? Especially in the MMA with a lot of dupes. What are the most duped lineups going to look like? Don't play those lineups. Then build your candidate set of lineups using that information. Don't play Piper with Sandhagen. Don't play Piper with Zhang. Don't play Cheaty with this guy. Right? Don't play any more than 1 of these 3 fighters or something, or 2, no more than 2 of these 7 fighters. Whatever you want to put together on what you see by building those types of lineups, using the correlation matrix tool, using the dupe predictor, and then build your candidate set of lineups and then trim from there. Trim based on risk tolerance. You go, okay, I have a bunch of this, a bunch of that, right? Who am I getting more of and less of? Yeah, the more you get of someone, the more leverage they provide. The less you're getting of them, the less leverage they provide. But it doesn't mean you can't play lineups with those people. You choose. Maybe you play, if you're playing 3 lineups, maybe you play a Sandhagen. You could play a plus EV Sandhagen lineup. There aren't as many plus EV Sandhagen lineups because of his ownership and his price. You could find a Piper Song Yadong lineup, even though their R value is the highest on the entire slate. If you're playing Loma, if you're playing Ogden, if you're playing you wouldn't be playing Mma Dfs because you're playing Piper. You could still find a unique lineup, even with that combination. It's just that there's less of them available. So it doesn't mean these tools don't tell you who to play. They just make it more efficient for you to step by step build plus EV lineups. And then you have, I could build 3,000 plus EV lineups, but I can only play 150 of them. I can only play 20 of them. I can only play whatever the number is. Well, then just pick out the ones that you want to play. There you go. This is DFS. I know I've been doing this on the show all week, showing these tools off. Someone asks here, Gregor, are you doing a show like this for NFL, or have you already? I did it for Showdown yesterday. If you want to check out yesterday's show, I did this whole process. I pretty much built my Showdown lineups yesterday. I mean, I had to redo them because ownership changed and everything, but I show you that also. And on the premium show, we have a NFL premium show that we're recording at 2:00, so they'll be out later today. Me and Tuttle, premium game theory show. We go through, we do talk about a lot of stuff. I do show off some of these tools. Don't necessarily build lineups with the trimmer, but show off the portfolio correlation tool and try to figure out, combinations of players that our opponents are playing more of, and how we could find leverage off of that. Like what are those strategies we talk about on that show. So if you want to tune into that, if you're a premium member, you have to sign up for Combo Premium. Click on that link in the description. Get $10 off your first month. Gregor says, Dupe Predictor is just based on ownership percentages, right? Yes. It doesn't adjust for contest. Well, I mean, it adjusts for contest size that you plug it in. The Dupe Predictor has a right up over here. Like you put in the field size it's up here. So if you're playing like a single entry 300 field con, you just put 300 there. But it's based on the ownership percentage that you put in. So you have to adjust the ownership percentage, whatever you think the ownership is for that contest. Right. So if your projected ownership, the projected ownership from RotoGrinders is for the large field contest. So if you're playing a 300-man contest, obviously Song Yadong is going to be more owned. Anthony Hernandez is going to be more owned. Pipe, you have to change the ownership to reflect that. But I don't know, using the Dupe Predictor for a 300-person contest is probably unnecessary anyway. Right? Unless you're playing your cash lineup or something, or like a 1v1 off a cash lineup, most likely your lineup ain't going to be duped anyway. Worst case scenario, maybe duped once. On a 14-fight card with enough close fights like this, the Dupe Predictor is more geared for large field stuff anyway. You put in, like, look at all these lineups. Like, look, this is in large field. Imagine if I put the field size here, right, to 300, right, and reload lineups. I mean, like all of them. Like, look, is there anyone that's duped more than once? If that. No. Right? Uniques, 170. Under fives, 300. Right, because in a 300-player contest, like as long as you're not really playing your cash lineup, you're pretty much good. But yes, if you're gonna if you're playing that contest, you would want the ownership for that contest. But we don't know. No one offers that. You have to adjust it for yourself. So you have to bump up Pfeiffer to 60%. You have to Song to 50 and Sandhagen to 54 or whatever you estimate it to be. Okay. So did we learn something today? Did we learn anything? We learned how to play DFS. If you look, like I said yesterday, if you were to look at someone, a top player playing MMA tomorrow, like they're going to build lineups 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, right? 4 o'clock lock Eastern. You go, I want to sit behind you. Top large field players, and I want to see you build lineups. I'm going to learn what you look at and what you do. Like, let me study your process for a week. And you're going to know these top players. You're going to see that these top players, they're not watching any tape. It's like, I'm going to sit with you during the week. Did they listen to any podcasts? No. Did they read any articles? No. You ask them. It's like, what do you think of Trey Ogden? You go, I don't even know what he looks like. You go, well, what do you think of Jillian Robertson tomorrow? You go, who is she fighting and how much is she? I don't even know. Right? And you're looking at these top players while they're building their MLB lineups and their NFL lineups. You're going, and you're going to put all this money into an MMA slate tomorrow? You don't even know the fighters. It's like Aspen Ladd. Do you think she's going to make weight? It's like, what, did she normally miss weight? Right? I don't know. I don't know nothing about MMA. I don't know. These are just names on a spreadsheet to me. And you go, how are you possibly playing without knowing anything about the sport? Right? And then you watch them beforehand, 2 hours before the slate, how they make lineups. It's going to look more like this show. You're going to see them move stuff around in Excel. You're going to see or spreadsheets or Python or R. You're going to see a lot of but like just like it looks like they're hacking code and stuff, punching stuff up, spinning arrows, beach balls. It's working on this. It's simulating that. They're aggregating projections from 7 different sources, right? So these numbers are coming in and this number is coming in and they update this and everything like that. And they go, they put all these numbers in a big witching pot or something. And then lineups start spinning out, right? And maybe they end up with 1,500 lineups. And it's like, okay, then they take a look and they go, okay, I want a little bit more of this and a little bit more of that. They take it. Some people don't even do that. Then they have 150. They cut and paste that. They plug it into their DK entries, and then they just move on. They move on, and they're not even watching the slate. Right? 4 o'clock lock hits, and they're working on their whatever NBA lineups for later that night, or whatever MLB coming up on Saturday. And you go, wow! And these, I mean, you go to the RotoGrinders leaderboard for large field GPPs. What I've showed on this show with this type of process, right? This is a little bit even more manual than a lot of what a lot of top players do for large field GPPs, but it's a wake up call to people, right? I mean, it's been a wake up call for 7 years. I mean, I've been saying this stuff for God knows how long. That it's not watching the sports, and there's only so much edge in you're not getting anything. If you don't know how to play DFS from a mathematical standpoint, watching ain't going to do anything. That may provide you the last 5%. 95% of the way is all math. And then the last 5% is like, maybe it could be more accurate from, this projection may be slightly more fragile than people think, right? This ownership may be, listening to shows and going, yeah, this ownership is 16% may actually be higher, right? Everyone's talking about this guy, right? Like that type of thing and being a little bit more accurate. But if you don't know how to build plus EV lineups from a mathematical perspective, like, how do you expect to win long term? So this is the process. People go look and go, oh, this is boring. All I'm doing is moving numbers on a spreadsheet. It's like, well, welcome to DFS. This is a math game. DFS is a math game. It's a game. It's a game theory game. And you could learn all of that in the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports. The new For Advanced Players Guide is out now. It's an audio course, 10 chapters, 6 hours of audio. And you get all the tools that I just showed. You get, 7, 8 different tools in Microsoft Excel that you get to keep, right? And they get updated. right? If there's a bug or something, James has been updating it like once a week. I mean, it's only been out for 2.5 weeks, but you get to keep and use to be more efficient in your process. So, I could build MMA lineups on Saturday. A lot of times it would take 2 or 3 hours to go through, without using these Excel tools and go, okay, I'm going to eliminate this. I'm going to do that. These lineups look good. Put them to the side, this and whatever. Organize everything manually. I can build my lineups for MMA tomorrow, my 150 set. I'm going to guess in less than 10 minutes, right? I think so. I did my showdown yesterday. I did a little bit more because I was doing a couple. I was looking into some of the cheaper guys. That's why I got a lot of Watson. So it took me like maybe 15 to 18 minutes or something for showdown yesterday. But normally that could take much longer if I didn't have these efficiency tools. And I wasn't playing a whole diverse set of lineups. If I was only like MLB the other day, like I used these tools, I built lineups in 4 minutes. Right? I built 5 lineups in 4 minutes. I ran a couple of different constructions. I threw them into the tools, seen which ones I don't play, got rid of those, and then trim from there. And then it's like, okay, I'm playing 5 lineups. I want to play 5 different stacks to be diverse. So I just sorted and just played, okay, what's the bet? What's the highest projected lowest on this stack? Okay, play that. What's the highest on this stack? I picked 5 lineups, uploaded 4 minutes. Took me 4 minutes. Go from start to finish. And I barely knew anything on the slate, right? Welcome to DFS. So you can pick this stuff up. theoryofdfs.com. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out the door. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. We got NFL content coming out on the channel today for the Sunday main slate. We got Grinders live later today for baseball. MLB still going on. We still got another 2 or 3 weeks of that. So check that out and join me in a the premium Discord for RG. I'm there, and my Blenders Game Theory channel. If you want to ask any questions about any of these concepts, any of the tools, anything at all, you could find me in there if you're a premium member. So good luck over the weekend as long as you're not in my contests. Got MMA tomorrow, soccer not really. We got a 2-game soccer slate. I don't even know if I'm going to play it. The staggered start times. And then we got Saturday, Sunday football, Sunday night football. We got NFL. We got tons of stuff. We got MMA. I love this 14-fight slate. A lot of unique. What's going to happen is that a lot of unique lineups are available, and then the chalkiest damn lineup's going to win. It's going to be like a 108-way tie for first, and everyone's going to lose money, right? Just my luck, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. But I'll see you again on Monday, answering your DFS strategy questions like I always do on the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.